I'm going to jump ahead now because when you leave the Depression, you get into World War II pretty quickly. And then you all know the post-war economy was one of tremendous growth for this area. And in fact, in the United States, we saw what we thought was a trajectory that would never come back down. Tremendous economic growth, tremendous electricity growth, and we were building assets like we never had before in order to meet that growth. And then it all came to a stunning stop. When we got into the 70s, we had an oil embargo, remember stagflation. We had a series of terrible events. Remember I said before that Southern Company really tries to have a long-term perspective. We try to do the short-term stuff, but we will always maintain as a priority our long-term viability. We have been building to meet this seemingly unstoppable growth, and then it stops in its tracks. And Alan Franklin was exactly the right guy. Now let's go back to Wendell Willkie. Because remember, Willkie, in light of all this turmoil, had to face intervention by the federal government. So did Alan Franklin. In a lot of the model of Enron, the federal government, here by the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, decided that it was a great idea to deregulate and re-regulate completely the nation's electricity markets. And Alan Franklin stood tall against those people, unlike anybody else in our industry. And ultimately, for the benefit of our customers here in the Southeast, we remained an integrated, regulated electric utility. And as a result, by paying attention to the basics, having the courage not to chase fads, Alan Franklin positioned this company to provide our customers the best reliability, the lowest prices, and the best customer service in the United States, and we have that today. These are lessons that apply to us right now. And so as I close this off, and I'll be delighted to take questions here in a second, let me show you a little bit about how these lessons apply to the 5 priorities I've put in place since I've taken over. So, there are 5. The first one is to preserve our business model. Going back to Preston Arkwright and Tom Martin, our business model is predicated by putting customers' value in the middle of everything we do. We define our effect on customers by providing the best reliability at the lowest prices with the best customer service we can offer. And we do that in every circumstance. I'll just give you the latest data point. In fact, today, I'm able to say that during our peak period this year, we are right near a record of reliability for the Southeast in terms of our generation fleet. There's a statistic called equivalent forced outage rates. How often do your plants not run when you want them to run? So you want a small number here. Industry average is around 6.5%. We finished the summer with about 1.2%. And we've done that now for over a decade. The wires business is doing well. Prices are below national average. Our customer satisfaction data still puts us in the top quartile. In fact, not long ago, we were second among all corporations in America, only to Federal Express. And for an electric utility, sometimes that's hard to do. So preserving that very foundation that Tom Martin put in place, that Preston Arkwright articulated, is a key. The second priority is to be successful with our major projects. Well, what we're doing right now, along with our partners, is leading the renaissance of nuclear in America by building Plant Vogtle 3 and 4. I guarantee you, with good partners, Tom Smith is here with me from Vogtle, and me, and Dalton. It's a $14 billion deal in total, takes 10 years to build. I guarantee you, you must consider carefully the risks and the strain that's going to put on our companies as we go forward. I guarantee you it is in America's interest to carry that important industry forward. But I guarantee you it took a lot of courage to make that first step. And so we are going forward, I think very similar to the Martin days, of starting something that has been lying fallow for a long time. The second one that we're doing is trying to find a way forward for coal in America. I'll get to that in national energy policy here in a minute. But we have developed our own technology, which will take coal, we will gasify it, we will strip out 65% of the carbon dioxide, Therefore, it has an environmental signature equivalent to natural gas, which seems to be the fuel of choice these days. And we will take the CO2. It's not a waste. We'll push it in the ground and push out more domestic oil. We'll take the remaining synthesis gas and run it through some more technology and produce electricity. Imagine that what has been a fuel source that's out of favor in the future may be preserved to take advantage of our own natural resources, creating a better chance for energy independence from foreign oil, creating more American jobs, more American tax base, more American domestic oil, more American electricity. This is a way forward, potentially. These are big projects. That one's about $2.5 billion. We better have the courage, the vision, and the wherewithal to complete it. The third priority is national energy policy. I've given lots of speeches about that recently. But let me just say, it is a fascinating topic right now. And when I do national energy policy in this room, I'm only talking about electricity. I'm not going to weigh in on foreign oil, except that we need less of it. But in terms of electricity policy, we have two simple things that we need to develop for America's future. One is all the arrows in the quiver. That means we need new nuclear, 21st century coal, natural gas, renewables, energy efficiency. We need them all. Southern Company is the only company in America today pushing forward on all of those segments, and we are committing $20 billion, and in the process, directly and indirectly, creating over 250,000 jobs. That's energy policy that America needs today. And Southern Company is a leader in pushing that forward. The second element of the national energy policy really goes to the need for America to reinvest in proprietary research and development. Southern Company is the only company in the United States today in our industry still doing that. We have a lot of success. We've developed environmental technology. We've invested over $8 billion over the past 10 years or so. And we've brought in these major projects on time, on budget, with functionality 10 to 20% better than what you see in the industry. We're working on things like smart grid. We're doing a variety of technology developments where we think we may be able to push forward the concept of energy efficiency, not so that you will use less of it. I want you to use it more wisely. But if I can get you to use it more wisely, I can now use electro-technologies to displace other less clean, less efficient forms of energy, particularly oil. Think about that we spend about $1 billion a day on importing foreign oil. And you could fill up your electric vehicle today at the equivalent of about $1 a gallon. That's national energy policy that we need to have in place. The fourth segment of my national energy policy, of my priorities, really goes to this whole idea of smart grid. Well, we don't call it smart grid. Smart grid's way too limiting. So we think about smart power that deals with generation, even to the point of putting solar panels in your neighborhoods, for heaven's sakes. We think about smart grid as really being wires, transmission, distribution, culminating in smart meters. And the third element is what we call smart choices. It really doesn't exist yet, but it's the idea of what value chains will emerge and where Southern should play in this whole idea of beyond the meter, smart home, all those things. Here again, we go back to concepts that Franklin would espouse about the importance of technology, innovation, common sense. We want to deploy this stuff at the speed of value. We want to put customers' interests in the middle of everything we do. Ultimately, the energy future that we create for customers must first work for them. And then we got to find a way to make it work for us. That is the appropriate sequencing of this important issue. The final priority that I have really goes to people. And as I said at the beginning, when we think about any kind of business strategy, we always think about it at Southern lingo anyway, in terms of what's and hows. The what's are the things you do. In the electric business, it's make, move, and sell electricity. And we do that as well as anybody in the world. But I think the lasting legacy of Southern Company is not our what's. It's not the fact that we're building a nuclear plant. It's the fact that we, with our partners, have the vision and the courage and the capability and credibility to act on it. When you think about the importance in culture of ethics. As a backdrop, Samuel Insull. As a backdrop, Enron. We must have the long-term vision, always to act in an ethical manner, and not to chase short-term results and imperil our long-term viability. You know, you can destroy more value in 15 minutes than you can create in decades. We take that to heart and we talk about it a lot. Bill Dahlberg put a label on that. He calls it Southern style. And that's something that we really try to inculcate in our company today. Going forward, one of the interesting things about Southern that will be a priority in this people issue is to continue to build on the base of credibility in terms of technical competence and all that. But promoting diversity is something that I'm especially passionate about. Now, when you think about diversity, I know everybody goes to, oh, well, that means you want representation among women and race and sexual orientation and religion and age and national origin. Those are just dimensions of diversity. What I want are the outcomes of diversity. That is, I want a better context of judgment, of skill, of experience base. I want people that are better able to reflect the public that we'll serve in the future. See, reaching back to what Preston Arkwright said, a citizen wherever we serve, that's where we got to be. Positioning our people to accomplish that future is a high priority.